Hey, K&W fans. A lot of you are aware that I'm working on this refinery kit here. Actually, it's going to be multiple kits. They're going to fill basically this whole area. One thing I wanted to do is add lights to this refinery because you can't have a refinery without lights because they just look really cool. And I've never done anything with lights. So what I'm going to do is I've bought several elements of this Woodland Scenics light hub set, porch sharing device, power supply, all this stuff, and several add-on lights. We're going to try it the easy way first. I'm calling this the easy way because it seems pretty simple, where you just kind of plug everything into one central deal and then give it power. It doesn't even have to be hooked up to your layout power supply, although obviously that would be a lot easier. But just for trying things out, I'm going to give this a shot, and this will just be the opening video of a series on how I end up using this thing. So hang in there. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so my first attempted use of these Woodland Scenics lights, and I've got all the gear out here. Got the power supply here, got the first hub, and I've gone ahead and filled the hub completely with 4 different lights. I'm using these warm white 25 milliamp stick-on lights, and I'm using it for this this pipe. Well, I can't think of the name right now. Interchange, whatever it is. And basically what I have here is I've got 4 of these lights that I'm going to centrally place over each. You know, you can kind of see 4 squares here to kind of illuminate the interior. What I'm going to mount these on is I've cut a strip of styrene that I'm painting, or I've painted the same color as the steel support beams. I'm going to have it run right down the middle. I'm going to stick all those to that, but I've yet to figure out how I'm going to run the actual wire inside and then down. Obviously, I'm going to drill some holes through the base for the wire to run to. So I've got to figure out if how well the wire is going to be hidden. But I really like how this is going to look to illuminate this from the inside. I think I'm going to add some details into this open area too. Maybe some electrical cabinet type things, just to be some equipment on the inside, some measurement equipment probably, or things of that nature. And then once I put that styrene strip down and have that all the way I want, then I will place this pipe, the top, the ceiling, the lid, whatever you want to call it, in place for the final assembly. So I'll check back in once I have the styrene strip down and the lights in place to see how that's going to look. All right, so I've gotten rid of the strip, which I'd cut a strip that was, oh, I don't know, here it is, this wide, which is probably 3/8 of an inch wide. And the problem with that is it would leave all of my wires exposed. There's not really any way to hide those. So now I'm going to try a full width strip, which leaves just enough room on either side for the pipes to connect from the top part here. And what that gives me the freedom of is to line the bottom of the ceiling with the wires. That's the hope anyway. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and attach those. Another issue that I realized is, if I can pull this off, you've got these cross beams here. And so you can't, like, I guess I thought I was going to maybe glue the wires directly to this ceiling, but I can't do that because I've got these cross beams that will get in the way. So what I'm going to have to do is run the wire underneath the cross beam, and you see I already have it done that way, and then somehow kind of glue them maybe to the ceiling. And what we're getting at here now, though, is this is going to be permanent. There's just no way I'm going to be able to remove these if one of these, you know, winks out or something, which that's not the end of the world. I don't expect these lights to last forever. But then again, you know, why would they wink out? Who knows? Again, this is my first experience, so I'm just sharing it with you all. Hopefully that you guys will comment some and share your own experience. But I think what I'm going to do at this point now is go ahead and try, you know, these are stick-on lights, just a peel and stick backing, I believe, if I can find one here. So, yeah, you can see that there. I'm just going to peel that off, try to centrally place them on my ceiling that I've made, and we'll see what I can do about the lights then. Fortunately, I haven't done anything else with these wires. I haven't even drilled a hole at this end to have them run through the benchwork itself. That's something I know I can do later. I think I'm going to build some kind of a wiring harness or framework to hide the wires as they go down vertically from the top to the bottom, just to kind of hide that. But I think there's enough play on these wires that I can glue them and remove that ceiling once they're, or not glued, but stick those and then remove the ceiling so I can mess around with the wires afterwards. So let's stick those to the ceiling and see how that looks. All right, I'm curious to see how this looks once this video is uploaded. It looks pretty impressive on my phone, at least, on my camera, but you can see how brightly lit this is. The nice thing about these hubs is you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but there is individual rheostats on every single one, so you can turn down the intensity of the light for each individual light, and you can see how I've turned that one up and down. Unfortunately, I didn't line up the right lights, but that can switch these out. These plugs can pull out and line them up right. But I'm really liking how this looks. I think it really brings out the detail, and adding the roof kind of prevents the light from spilling out everywhere, right? So I haven't glued this down or anything. There's really no need to at this point, but you can see that one's been turned off. There we go. And that's how I didn't glue those, but they're double stick tape basically is what it is. But with those off, you can see what it would have looked like. Kind of maybe set this here in place. Anyway, not sure that really made any sense because the lights are on the ceiling. Now that is hung up. All right, anyway, the ceiling back on, and you can see how I've worked the wires underneath the crossbars there. So with the roof back in place, the wires kind of get lost in the brightly lit piping, or they kind of blend in. But you can see that one there, but the other ones, your attention isn't really drawn to them, I guess, is what my point is, except for this one here. This is one of the farthest ones. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of try to super glue maybe the wires themselves to the ceiling a little bit. It'll get rid of some of this play, but I don't really need this play. I don't really need to be able to do this because the idea is to put the piping on the top. Here, let me get the lights back on. The top of the pipe manifold is supposed to fit into place, so it's going to kind of hide the ceiling to some degree, but the detail of the piping on the top will kind of make the ceiling blend in. And so I'm kind of wondering how much I need to worry about the wires. I guess if someone's going to do some closer inspection, they can say, oh, I can see little wires in there. Well, yeah, and if you look underneath, you can see the lights. But otherwise, I'm pretty impressed with the ease of use of this system, and we'll probably talk some more about that, but I'm going to see if I can go ahead and finish this little section out, and we'll show you what I finally decided on how to deal with those wires. Okay, so I've got the wires all sticking out this one end, and again, I haven't secured them under here. Let's see, just bring this back up again. Because again, there's no way to secure them to the ceiling without it becoming an issue with the crossbars. So for now, I've just got them laying loose in there. But what I've gone and done is I've made this, I guess, kind of a utility conduit, I guess, out of styrene. Hopefully this focuses a little better. And you can see I've run the wires through that. And I've drilled a hole through the foundation. And I'm going to pause here for a second and just put this into position and then show you what it looks like the way it's supposed to be. Hang on just a second. Okay, so now you can see how the wires have been run through the foundation and they're sticking down there and they're hidden with this conduit, and I got a little carried away on the spray paint there on the top. But this way, with the ceiling glued down, it really does a good job of hiding where the wires are going. And the conduit, I guess could say it's passably supposed to be part of the model. When you look at it on the edge, the other thing that it does is once the wire is pulled taut, and again, I have to glue these elements in so it'll stay up in the right position. But once you pull this taut, theoretically, yes, the wire kind of stays snug up against the ceiling. And that's all I was going for. And I think this will help with that. And again, I've got to glue it in position so it'll actually hold that way. I got to glue this conduit in and then the ceiling on top to hold it down. Otherwise, it'll spring up like that. But I think that will work. I'm going to get this all glued up, and we're going to call that good for my first effort. And I'll check back in once I get this glued up, and we'll see how it looks all lit up on the layout. Okay, so here's the final look with the pipe manifold all lit up on the layout. Obviously, there's a lot more to build just for this single Walthers Refinery kit, but I think I would call this project a success. I've gone ahead and drilled the hole into the layout so the wires can go underneath, and I'll show you that here when I turn the lights back on. But imagining this entire scene all lit up to some degree in that fashion, and it ought to be a pretty impressive Christmas tree display type of thing. So really happy with how this went. I think I'm going to go ahead and make this a series on how I light all my structures, just for ideas and suggestions on how I could do things better. So if you have any comments, please leave those, or suggestions, please leave those in the comments below. I guess that's about, oh, let me show you the bottom side here. Hang on just a second. So here's the Woodland Scenics light hub. I've got it just kind of double tape stuck under there. The screws that they included didn't quite fit through the entire hub, so it's just double stick taped up there. And you can see I've used all 4 ports with the expansion port still ready to be used there on the edge. And I've got the power supply plugged in here just for now. I'm going to go ahead and attach a power strip here on the wall for multiple hubs of these, although I think it only needs one power connection for multiple hubs, so it'll just be easier to reach if I put a power strip up here. But that's how it looks with all the room lights on, so you can still see it. I guess that's about it for now. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, leave those in the comments below. Thanks for watching.